So yesterday, we announced the campaign to fix the debt. Over 80 CEOs of major companies, from General Electric to Honeywell to Goldman Sachs to JP Morgan Chase, you name it. And the idea is basically it's time to deal with the fiscal problem, that going over the cliff is completely unacceptable. You heard earlier some of the consequences of what would happen if we did that. And I think
so what are you guys recommending?
So what we're recommending is essentially some kind of Simpson-Bowles-like approach. We're not wedded to one particular plan, but the idea that you have to have meaningful deficit reduction, you have to keep the debt to GDP ratio from continuing to go up, and it has to be balanced, and everything has to be on the table. There have to be some revenues, there have to be some spending reductions, and you have to deal with entitlements.
So that means, slow down the rate of growth for entitlements spending, raise taxes through a sort of tax reform, again, a balanced approach. And these corporate CEOs were saying that was fine with them, that they would line up and support more taxes if that meant also less spending on entitlements and other
I have called a lot of people and asked for a lot of things over the years, causes of one sort or another. I have never made calls like this and gotten such a positive response from every CEO. CEOs are willing to have taxes go up as long as it's, in their minds, as long as in the context of something meaningful happening. They don't want to just pay more taxes. But if you say pay more taxes and we're going to have a $4 trillion deficit reduction package, then they're on board. And there's incredible enthusiasm for this. Whether it will matter in Washington, we'll see.
Well, I think this is great. Now, the question I have is, it wasn't necessarily CEOs that blocked Simpson-Bowles or any type of Simpson-Bowles-like legislation being passed. How exactly do we attack that? How exactly do we not just make sure we have the CEOs on board, but also the other constituency groups that, quite honestly, were much more vocal about Simpson-Bowles before?
We're reaching out to a lot of other constituency groups, but CEOs have a lot of influence in Washington, and they haven't really been using it for this purpose. And the idea is to use it to counter some of those other groups that have other agendas. But we are going to try to bring in as many as we can. We've raised over $35 million. It's going to be a national effort. It's going to include state and local efforts. It's going to include social media, and it's certainly going to include having CEOs spend a lot of time in Washington with legislators trying to get them to be sensible.
And that's critical. And I'll tell you what, if you get a call and you're a congressman or congresswoman and say, Congresswoman Jamie Dimon's on the phone, you pick up the phone. Or Lloyd Blankfein's on the phone, you pick up the phone. Or, any of these other CEOs, especially CEOs that hire a lot of people in your district, and say, I need you to vote this way. I am looking. It has a huge impact.
And the CEOs are going to be on the phone. They are going to make those calls.
Yeah.